can't stop shaking. Hold me, the rancher took her, and found ring on her finger. Wild West. The twin suns hung low over the redstone desert, painting the sky in shades of fire and copper. Dust swirled lazily across the empty plains, catching the light and turning it into tiny dancing sparks. The air was dry and heavy, carrying the faint hum of distant machines that ran the scattered settlements of the planet. Out here, life was simple, but survival required patience and skill. Jace McAllister rode slowly along the ridge, his long coat flapping in the hot wind. His boots dug lightly into the dusty stirrups of his hoverbike, a machine that looked part horse, part motorcycle, all rugged frontier. Jace had been tending the robotic livestock on the northern plains for nearly 5 years, and the routine of checking the herds had become almost meditative. The desert was quiet, the kind of quiet that made a man listen to his own heartbeat. It was during one of these quiet rides that Jace spotted a figure in the distance, stumbling along the dirt path. She moved oddly, as if her legs could not keep pace with the harsh terrain. At first he thought it was a mirage, a trick of the twin suns, but as he got closer he saw her clearly, a young woman, dust-coated and trembling. Jace slowed his hoverbike and called out, "Hey! You all right?" The woman flinched at the sound of his voice. She stopped abruptly, clutching her arms to her chest. Her hands were shaking, and every time she tried to straighten, a shiver ran through her body. Jace noticed a faint glow around her wrist, a bracelet of some unknown material that pulsed softly. I don't know," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. I can't stop shaking." Jace dismounted carefully, keeping his hands visible and calm. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. You need some water and shade." She took a hesitant step toward him, then pulled back again. Fear mixed with relief in her eyes, and Jace realized she had been through something unsettling. He offered a hand. "There's a small outpost just over that ridge. You can rest there." After a few moments of hesitation, she nodded. Slowly, carefully, she let him guide her. As they walked, he noticed her boots, scuffed and worn, and the way her coat fluttered like it was too big for her. She looked like someone who had been traveling alone for a long time. Someone who had been on the run, though from what, he didn't yet know. When they reached his outpost, a small cluster of metal buildings with solar panels and wind turbines, Jace led her inside. The interior smelled faintly of oil and hay, a mixture of mechanical and natural that always made him feel at home. He offered her a chair and a glass of water. She drank quickly, her hand shaking so much that he had to hold the glass steady for her. "What's your name?" he asked, keeping his voice gentle. Lyra Quinn," she said, glancing at him nervously. I don't remember much. I just need to get away." Jace nodded. He understood more than she could know. The frontier could change a person in ways the cities never would. "You're safe here for now," he said. "No one's going to bother you." Lyra let out a long breath, closing her eyes for a moment, and then she opened them again, and Jace noticed the ring on her finger. It was an old, strange-looking thing, with tiny engravings that shimmered in the light from the twin suns outside. She quickly hid it under the sleeve of her coat, but Jace had seen it. His curiosity was piqued. "That ring," he said softly. "Where did you get it?" Lyra hesitated. It doesn't matter. Everything matters out here. If it's on your hand, it's part of your story." She looked at him, and for a moment he thought she might tell him the truth. But then she shook her head, tucking her hand completely under the coat. I can't explain right now." The sun dipped lower, and the desert turned to shades of orange and purple. Shadows stretched across the outpost, and the soft hum of machines filled the quiet spaces. Jace and Lyra sat in silence, listening to the wind outside. There was something unspoken between them, a fragile trust beginning to form. "You must be tired," Jace said finally. "You can stay here tonight. There's a bed in the back. Food's simple, but it'll give you strength." Lyra nodded, her eyes still wide and cautious. She followed him to the small room in the back of the outpost. The bed was plain, but clean. She sank onto it, the trembling in her hands slowing but not disappearing. "Thank you," she murmured. Jace left her to rest but stayed nearby, tidying up the common area. He couldn't shake the feeling that her arrival was not by chance. Something about the bracelet on her wrist, the ring she tried to hide, and the fear in her eyes told him there was more to her story than she was ready to share. As night fell, the twin moons of redstone rose. One was pale and silver, the other faintly golden. They cast an otherworldly glow across the outpost, lighting up the mechanical herds grazing nearby. Jace stepped outside for a moment, watching the robotic cattle move with uncanny precision. their metal bodies reflecting the moonlight. From inside, he could hear Lyra whispering to herself, her words carried away by the wind. He didn't pry. Some stories needed time to be told. The desert was quiet again, but not peaceful. There was an energy in the air, subtle but undeniable. Jace felt it in his bones, the presence of something bigger, something that had brought Lyra to him. Hours passed, and Lyra finally slept. Her breathing evened out, and Jace could see the tension leaving her shoulders. He walked back outside, leaning on the railing of the outpost. The desert stretched endlessly before him, a mix of danger and beauty, of freedom and loneliness. He wondered what secrets the ring held. Its glow seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive, and he wondered about Lyra, why she had come here, alone, shaken, and scared. He didn't know it yet, but their paths had crossed for a reason, and the journey they were about to begin would change both of them, and the desert in ways neither could imagine. As the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, painting the desert in brilliant reds and oranges, Jace made a silent promise. He would protect this woman and whatever mysterious object she carried. The frontier was vast, wild and unforgiving, but for the first time in a long time he felt a spark of something new, a connection, a story worth living. Lyra stirred on the bed, her eyes opening to the soft morning light. She looked around, and for a fleeting moment her fear was replaced with cautious curiosity. "Good morning," Jace said quietly, not wanting to startle her. "Morning," she replied softly, her voice steady for the first time. The twin suns rose higher, bathing the outpost in warm light. Outside, the robotic herds grazed peacefully, unaware of the adventure waiting just beyond the horizon. And so, on the Redstone Desert, two unlikely travelers prepared to face the unknown together. One carried a mysterious ring, one carried the experience and knowledge of a rugged frontier. Both carried hope and the beginning of a story that would stretch across deserts, stars, and the secrets of a world waiting to be discovered. The canyon winds of Redstone twisted like a ribbon of copper and gold under the twin suns. Jace McAllister guided his hoverbike with careful precision, every turn practiced and sure. Lyra Quinn clung to the back, her fingers pressing lightly against the strange ring on her finger. She had worn it every day since Jace had first seen it, and now it pulsed faintly in rhythm with her heartbeat. "We're close," Jace said over the wind, pointing toward a cluster of jagged rocks ahead. "Iron spires just beyond that ridge." Her lips were dry, and her eyes flickered nervously. I hope they don't find us before we get there. That organization, they won't stop for anything." Jace glanced back. The desert stretched wide open, but there was a faint shimmer in the distance. Dust clouds rose unnaturally, and in the middle of them he could see a hovering drone. Its surface reflected the sun's like a polished mirror. "They're following us," he said. "But we can outsmart them." Lyra nodded, gripping the hoverbike tighter. "Outsmart them? How?" "Trust me," Jace said. "I've been running across Redstone for years. You just hold on." The path narrowed as they entered the canyon. High rock walls rose on either side, glowing faintly under the twin suns. Jace swerved the hoverbike around sharp corners, kicking up clouds of red dust. The drone followed at a careful distance, scanning, waiting. As they rode, Lyra's thoughts wandered. The ring on her finger was not just a piece of jewelry. It was a key, she realized, though she did not yet understand exactly what it unlocked. It pulsed whenever they approached certain places, like the rocky canyon, as if reacting to the planet itself. She had tried to ignore its power, but now, with pursuers closing in, she could no longer deny its significance. Finally, the canyon opened into a hidden plateau. At its center was Ironspire, a settlement built into the rocks, with solar panels glinting in the sunlight and small wind turbines spinning lazily. Jace slowed, guiding them through a narrow opening, the hoverbike lifting briefly over a shallow ravine. "We made it," he said, exhaling. "But we're not safe yet." The settlement seemed abandoned in places, yet lived in others. Small gardens grew between the rocks, and robotic tools moved automatically, tending plants with gentle hums. It was a mix of old-world charm and advanced technology, a safe haven for those who understood both. As they entered the settlement, Lyra felt the ring pulse strongly. She looked at it startled. "It's reacting," she whispered. Jace noticed her hesitation. "Reacting to what?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I think it wants something. Or someone." They guided the hoverbike to a quiet corner near a cluster of abandoned workshops. Jace turned it off and looked at Lyra. "You have to tell me about the ring. I can't help you if I don't understand it." Lyra hesitated, then took a deep breath. "It's from old Earth," she began. "Before Redstone was settled, People built incredible technology, things no one remembers now. This ring, it can activate a terraforming beacon hidden somewhere nearby. It can change landscapes, create life, even water and plants in places where nothing grows. Jace's eyes widened. You mean it can make the desert bloom? Exactly, but it's dangerous in the wrong hands. That organization, they want to use it to control planets, to own life itself. Then we make sure it stays safe together. Lyra looked at him, her expression a mixture of gratitude and something softer, something like hope. I don't know if I can trust anyone, she admitted. But I trust you. They shared a quiet moment under the warm sun, but the peace was short-lived. The drone appeared again, skimming across the plateau, its sensors scanning relentlessly. Lyra's ring pulsed brighter, reacting to the proximity of danger. We need a plan, Jace said. We can't fight them, but we can lead them somewhere they can't follow.
Lyra nodded. The beacon.
It's not far from here. Maybe it can help. Together they navigated the rocky pathways toward the hidden entrance of an ancient terraforming station. The rocks formed natural tunnels that twisted into the hillside, shaded and cool compared to the sun-baked plateau. As they walked, Lyra's hand shook, not with fear this time, but with anticipation. The ring glowed softly, and she felt a strange connection to the rocks, the soil, and even the wind around them. Jace noticed her pause and touch a smooth stone wall. You feel it too? She asked. I feel something, Jace admitted, like the desert itself is alive. Lyra held up the ring, and it began to pulse strongly, sending soft beams of light across the carvings on the door. Slowly, the massive hatch creaked open, revealing the control room inside. Old panels hummed to life as the ring activated them. Lyra stepped inside, awe written across her face. This is it, the heart of the system. Jace followed. We need to be careful. One wrong move, but before he could finish, the drone hovered above the entrance, scanning. Lyra pressed the ring against a console, and the system responded immediately. Tiny tubes released water vapor, solar collectors adjusted, and the first shoots of green began to sprout in the chamber. The ring's light intensified, and a wave of energy seemed to radiate outward, touching the desert outside. Jace and Lyra watched as life began to appear where there had been only dust. The robotic herds grazing nearby paused, their sensors picking up the change in the ecosystem. Birds, long absent from Redstone, appeared, drawn by the sudden growth of plants. Lyra's eyes shone. It works, she whispered. Jace smiled. It works, but it's more than that. It's beautiful. The drone hesitated, unable to penetrate the energy field that the ring had generated. Lyra breathed a sigh of relief. They can't reach us here, she said. But the twin suns were moving closer to their alignment, and the ring began to pulse even more intensely. Lyra felt it vibrating against her finger, a warning and an invitation all at once. Jace, the ring wants me to do more. I can feel it, he nodded. Together, they pressed forward, following the pulsing signals from the ring. Water began to flow down narrow channels in the canyon, and green sprouts pushed through the red soil. Tiny pools formed, reflecting the twin suns above. The barren plateau transformed before their eyes, turning into a small oasis, lush and alive. Lyra laughed, a sound full of relief and wonder. It's beautiful. Jace reached out and took her hand. You did it. We did it. She looked at him, gratitude and something deeper in her eyes. Thank you, Jace, for believing in me. He squeezed her hand. No one should face the frontier alone, especially not with something this powerful. The twin suns climbed higher, bathing the new oasis in light. The desert around them remained harsh, but here, in this small valley, life had taken root. Lyra turned the ring slowly on her finger. We've created something new, she said softly, but now we have to protect it. I can't let it fall into the wrong hands. Jace nodded. And we won't. Not while I'm here. They stood together, overlooking the small oasis they had created, and for the first time in days, Lyra felt completely safe. The desert had tested them, the organization had chased them, and the ring had guided them, but they had survived, and they had discovered something incredible together. As the wind whispered through the canyon, carrying the scent of fresh water and growing plants, Lyra finally relaxed. The trembling in her hands had gone, replaced with determination and hope. Jace's presence beside her was steady, strong, and comforting. In that moment, amidst the alien yet familiar beauty of Redstone, Two unlikely travelers realized that the greatest adventure was not just in surviving the frontier, but in discovering trust, hope, and the magic hidden in the smallest of objects, a ring that could change the world. And with that realization, they prepared for whatever came next, knowing the journey was far from over, but ready to face it together. The morning sun rose slowly over Redstone, spilling gold and pink light across the oasis that Jace and Lyra had brought to life. The twin suns climbed higher, reflecting off the pools of water and glinting against the green shoots that now covered the once barren canyon. Birds circled above, their songs echoing through the rock walls, and robotic herds grazed calmly nearby, sensing the change in their world. Lyra stood at the edge of the small lake they had created, her fingers tracing the ring on her hand. Its soft glow had stabilized, pulsing in harmony with the life around them. She felt a calm she had not known in months. The fear that had haunted her since arriving at Redstone was gone, replaced with a quiet sense of purpose. Jace approached, hands in his pockets, watching her. "You've done more than you know," he said. What we've done here, it's amazing. It's not just me. You helped. I couldn't have done it alone."
You shrugged, pretending modesty.
"I just pointed the way. You did the real work." For a moment they stood in silence, watching the oasis thrive. The wind whispered through the rocks, carrying the scent of water and new growth. Everything felt alive. Jace could see the relief and wonder on Lyra's face, and he felt a tug in his chest, a connection he hadn't expected but now couldn't ignore. Their peace, however, was short-lived. A soft humming reached their ears from above, and Lyra immediately recognized it. "The organization," she whispered. "They found us again." Jace squinted toward the sky where a faint shimmer moved against the sunlight. But the oasis was different now. The ring's energy had created a barrier, subtle but strong, that prevented the drone from entering. It hovered above, confused, unable to scan or penetrate the area. "They can't touch us," Jace said confidently. "Not here." Lyra nodded, her lips pressing together. "But we can't stay hidden forever. If they keep coming, we'll have to leave." Jace looked at her, thoughtful. "Then we prepare. We learn the ring's full power, and we decide how to protect it, not just for us, but for the entire planet." Together they spent the day exploring the oasis. Lyra discovered how the ring interacted with the soil, water, and sun, and realized it could accelerate growth in a controlled way. Jace tested the robotic herds in the transformed terrain, noting how they adapted naturally to the new environment. As the day passed, they talked quietly, sharing memories and stories. Lyra spoke of her travels across planets, of places she had seen and things she had witnessed. Jace shared his life on Redstone, the long days and lonely nights tending mechanical livestock and navigating the harsh desert. They laughed at small jokes, teased one another, and slowly the bond between them grew. When evening came, the twin suns began their slow descent, painting the canyon walls in deep reds and purples. Lyra and Jace sat together on a flat rock, watching the sky. The oasis glimmered below, peaceful and alive, a testament to their work and cooperation. "I can't believe how beautiful it looks," Lyra said softly. "I never thought something like this could exist here." Jace smiled. "Neither did I, but we made it happen. Together." She turned to him, hesitating for a moment, then spoke. "I was scared when I came here. I didn't know if anyone would help me, if I could trust anyone." Jace reached out, gently taking her hand. "You don't have to be scared anymore. You're not alone." Lyra felt a warmth in her chest, a sense of safety she hadn't felt in years. She looked down at the ring, then back at Jace. "I trust you," she said quietly. The twin suns dipped lower, casting long shadows across the oasis. Lyra stood, holding out her hand to Jace. "Come with me," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "Curious."
"Where?"
"To learn more about this ring. To make sure it's used for good," she replied. "I can't do it alone." Jace considered for a moment. The frontier had taught him independence, caution, and patience, but he also knew when a partnership was worth taking a chance on. He nodded. "Then we do it together." They began planning the next phase of their journey. The organization would not give up easily, and there were planets beyond Redstone that could benefit or be harmed by the ring's power. But they felt ready. They had survived the chase, learned to trust each other, and unlocked the first glimpse of what the ring could do. Night fell, and the stars of Redstone's sky appeared, more vivid than Lyra had ever seen. The twin moons cast silver and golden light, illuminating the oasis like a hidden paradise. Lyra and Jace sat by the lake, talking quietly about what they had learned, about the beauty they had created and the responsibility they now carried. The ring, it's more than power, Lyra said thoughtfully. It's a chance to make something better, to change things without hurting anyone. Jace nodded, and we'll do it wisely, step by step, together. They watched as tiny lights began to glow from the growing plants, the way life responds to energy, hope, and care. The desert was no longer lifeless. It had been transformed into a living testament to patience, courage, and teamwork. As the night deepened, Lyra leaned against Jace. "Thank you for saving me," she whispered. Jace smiled softly. "No one gets left behind out here. Not with me." The two of them sat silently for a while, letting the sound of the wind, the gentle hum of robotic herds, and the quiet life of the oasis fill the night. Stars twinkled overhead, and in the distance the faint glow of redstone settlements hinted at more people who could one day see the beauty they had created. In the following days, Lyra and Jace worked together to strengthen the oasis and understand the ring's abilities. They discovered that it could balance ecosystems, create water, and even grow small forests over barren land. But they also realized the ring required care, patience, and responsibility. It was not a weapon, not a tool for power. It was a gift that demanded respect. Word of the oasis slowly spread across Redstone. Travelers and settlers came to witness the miracle, and though Jace and Lyra remained careful, they began to share knowledge about sustainable growth and how life could flourish even in the harshest deserts. The organization never returned to the oasis, at least not immediately. Whatever their plans had been, they had underestimated the bond between Jace, Lyra, and the ring. And though challenges would come again, the two of them were ready, united by trust, courage, and the shared vision of a better world. One evening, as the twin suns set, Lyra stood at the edge of the lake, holding the ring to her chest. Jace stood behind her, wrapping a protective arm around her shoulders. Together they watched as small plants glimmered in the fading light, tiny reflections dancing across the water. "You know," Lyra said softly, "I never imagined I'd find someone like you here, on this frontier. Someone I could trust." Jace chuckled, brushing a strand of dust-streaked hair from her face. "And I never thought I'd find someone who could shake up my quiet life. But here we are." Lyra smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "Here we are," she repeated. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, and the stars emerged fully, twinkling like distant diamonds. In the quiet of the night, the oasis glowed softly, a reminder of what had been created through trust, courage, and a little bit of magic. And in that moment, Redstone felt a little less lonely, a little more alive, and full of possibilities. Jace and Lyra stood together, ready for whatever the universe had in store, knowing that as long as they faced it side by side, they could turn barren lands into living worlds, fear into hope, and strangers into a family. The desert was vast. The future was uncertain. But their journey had just begun, and with the ring as their guide and trust as their bond, the frontier would never be the same again.